Hi there, my name is Dylan Baker, and this is part of a tutorial series for using the Incident Command Assistant software to help you with your search and rescue tasks. In this particular tutorial, we're going to talk about all of the things that persist from task to task in the software. This includes the general options, the preset templates, and the list of your SAR team members, just to make filling out all that paperwork a little bit faster and easier. So the first thing I want to cover is where all of these settings are going to be stored on your computer. All of the settings we're going to be talking about today are stored in a single file in your Documents folder. So looking at the screen now, we're going to go from the computer to your Documents folder. You're going to find the SAR ICS Form Helper folder, and within it you'll find my SAR ICS helper.xml. That one file has everything we're going to be talking about today. If you want to move these settings and whatnot from one computer to another, so you get it all set up on one computer and want to duplicate those settings to all the other ones in your incident command post, just grab this one file and put it in the same location on each of those computers. This is also the file that you're going to want to back up from time to time just to make sure you don't lose all those settings to some unfortunate computer event. So let's start with the general settings for the application. So just go up to Edit, choose General Options. Here you'll see a number of different options that we can set, and again, these persist from task to task. So you can specify, for example, if you always use the same radio channel as your primary operational channel during a task, just pick it there, and if you always use the same repeater, just go ahead and pick it there as well. And when you do that, it will just automatically set those as the primary and the repeater for any new tasks that you create. You can always change them from task to task basis if you're operating in a different area, but it'll just get you started, and it's one less thing to click from task to task. The incident command post call sign, again, this is something you can set here and will just default on new tasks. You can change it on a task by task basis, but just to save yourself some time. So you'll notice there are two check-ins here. The team check-in up here, and then the ECC check-in. If you set this team check-in to, in this case, 60 minutes, after that time, if you haven't logged any radio communications with that team, their assignment will flag red in the team status board. That's just a reminder to check in with them. For the ECC check-in, if you haven't checked in with ECC during that time period, you're actually going to find right down here at the bottom, it's going to remind you how long it's been since your last ECC check. And if you've got this little box here ticked, it will actually pop up and remind you after that time period that you do want to check back in with ECC. The default here is 2 hours, but you can set that to any number that you want depending on your situation. If you don't actually log any communications with ECC, that's never going to come up. It only comes up after you start using it by logging your first comms with ECC. So the next group of settings are the team assignment package settings right here. Whenever you create team assignments using the application, it will automatically include various other additional things in addition to the 204 at your option, just to make life easier and to have a single complete package for the team. So the first option you see there is 2 copies of page 1. So I found it's standard practice in a lot of incident command posts to give a copy of the team assignment to the team leader, but retain a copy as well in the incident command post. And that just puts 2 copies of the first page into the PDF document so that you've got that taken care of. The next section is an option to include a partial SMEAC briefing. So if you've entered a SMEAC briefing for the task in the application and tick that box, it will include the situation, admin logistics, and communications and command sections of the SMEAC briefing in the PDF document for the team. It leaves a big blank space as well for mission and for execution. The idea here is just to make the team leader's life easier by duplicating all that information for them that's not going to change from assignment to assignment, but leaving space for them to enter the stuff that is specific to their assignment. Again, just saving people some time. And if you have not entered a SMEAC briefing for that particular task, it just won't be included at all in the package, even if you do have the box ticked. So don't worry about wasting paper. And finally, the subject profiles. If you have that box ticked, it will just automatically include a copy of any 301 subject profiles that you've entered into the application with the team assignment packages. Again, the idea here is just to give that team leader a complete set of everything they're going to need. If you look at the tutorial for making team assignments, you'll see we can also include team assignment maps in that package, and it just makes life easier, put it all in one place. The next section is a couple options just for the incident action plan. You can include the safety plans, which are not technically part of the incident action plan, but in many cases get filed along with them, so I've given you an option to include those. You can also include a blank copy of the lost person questionnaire. Lost person questionnaire is not currently a form supported by the application, but it'll generate a blank copy to include with your incident action plan, and you can write on it or fill it in Acrobat Reader. Next section is file management. So here you can turn the autosave on and off. With the autosave, once you have saved the task once in my application, it will just continue to save every minute so that you don't lose any changes should the application be closed unexpectedly. And the default save location is about what you'd expect it to be, where the program is going to default saving new files to. Again, any individual task you can do file and save as to pick a different save location. That's just the default. Finally, the other settings here, we've got the position format you prefer. So it's going to default to UTM when you first install the application, but you can turn it to any of these other three options as well. And that's going to affect any positions that are brought in through the coordinate importer when creating new tasks, and some of the display options in the segmentation and Matson area of the application. And finally, the primary SAR group. You'll see here that all of the SAR groups in BC have already been entered, along with a few additional ones like non-search and rescue or unassigned. By picking a primary SAR group here, it's going to just default any newly created team members to that SAR group, and it's used to sort members of your team up higher in the list on some of the screens as well. So those are the general options. Again, anything you set here can typically be changed from task to task. This is just what the defaults are going to be when you create a new task. And don't forget to hit save when you're done your changes. So let's talk about some of the other presets we can use to just make filling out those forms a little bit faster. Now, if you're filling out a 206 medical plan, you're going to need to enter ambulances and hospitals. And typically those are going to be pretty consistent from task to task. So you're going to save yourself a lot of time if you go up to here to edit ambulances and hospitals, and just enter them into the system here. Again, they'll persist from task to task, so when you're filling out that medical plan, it's just going to be a matter of picking a couple from the list. You'll notice here that we've got BC EHS, obviously for medical, for the ambulance service. And for hospitals, we've got a combination of sort of provincial level entities like the Vancouver General Hospital that has some pretty specific medical interventions available, like hypothermia treatment. And I've got a bunch of ones specific to my response area. So I've got Port Hardy, Port McNeill, and the hospital in Campbell River here as well. And just go ahead and add whatever hospitals are in your response area. Fill out the information exactly as you expect to see it on the medical plan. So let's go over the communications plan items next. These are items that you might include when you're filling out your communications plan ICS form. So edit general comms plan items, and here you'll see a list of any items that you've added already, and you can go ahead and add whatever other communications systems you want. This will be radios, repeaters, and potentially also inReaches, cell phones, whatever other communications modalities you tend to use in your group. Once they're entered here, it's going to be super quick and easy to add them to the comms plan in tasks. So worth the time to just go ahead and punch these in. You're going to enter information here exactly as you want it to appear on that ICS comms plan form. Comms system is going to be radio, repeater, cell phone, whatever the nature of the technology is. Channel ID is the only required field here, and that's just going to be how you identify this communications device relative to all the others. Frequency, if entered, it will be displayed pretty commonly as well. That's going to be either the radio frequency, or in my case I'll use that for cell phone numbers as well. And just tick the box if it's a repeater and hit save. You can bring up any of these to edit them as well if you need to make any changes, and these little boxes will remind you what each of these is supposed to be if you get stuck. So that's it for communications plan. Enter them here and use them during tasks. So the next thing I'd like to go over is adding your search and rescue team members into the application. You can add the members of your team and of any nearby mutual aid teams if you'd like. It just makes using the sign-in features in the application a whole lot faster and easier. So I'm going to go up to Edit SAR Team Members. This is going to bring up a list of all the members that are currently in the application. So you see here, you'll get their name, their group, and then all the information you'd expect to see on a 204 team assignment form. We've also added the ground search team leader and search manager qualifications. Those are just used to filter and highlight members when you're filling out certain forms in the application. So you can manually add individual team members if you'd like by using the Add New Team Member button up here in the corner. It brings up a nice little form. You can fill it out with their name and as much or as little of this information as you'd like to include. If you include the emergency contact, it will print out on the sign-in sheets as well. And tick all the boxes that are appropriate and hit save. Now that is great for adding a one-off member, but for getting a whole bunch of members, that's very laborious, and so we've added this D4H import as well. So you can just pick your SAR group, import D4H members, and then grab a file that's been exported from D4H with your list of members. Similarly in D4H, you can export all of the qualifications that members have, and then just use this import D4H qualification matrix to bring those details into this application. I should note that any changes that are made after this in D4H will need to be imported again. It's not a live link yet. Someday we may link to the D4H API and keep that information synchronized, but that is not this day. So let's just move over to D4H and I'll show you real quick how to grab those files. So you'll need to open your browser, sign into D4H, and you'll need to sign in using a Member Plus or higher level account. If that's not your account, then please speak to your local D4H administrator about getting the files for you. Go to Planning and Members, and then scroll down the list of members. On the right here, you're going to find this Export section. And just click on Current Members there. You'll see that asks you to save a file. It'll probably be your group name and then members. Just note where it's going to be saving to, hit save, and let it download. You can then go back into the application, pick the SAR group those members belong to, in this case Campbell River Search and Rescue. Click Import D4H Members, grab that file that just downloaded, I'm going to use this one here, and hit Open. And it'll just go ahead and bring in Jane Smith here, who is a member from Campbell River Search and Rescue that I made up. There's the information that's been brought in from D4H. Whatever you've entered in D4H will come in automatically. For qualifications, again, we're going to go to D4H. Going to go to the Planning section, down to Qualifications, and right over here on the right, you'll see Export. Just hit that matrix button, and it will download a new CSV file. It's all courses matrix. Just hit notice where it's going to be saving to, hit save, and then back into my application, import D4H qualification matrix. Go ahead and grab that matrix, hit open, and it will try and update the qualifications for any members in D4H, in this application, that are also in the D4H matrix. So in this case, it's updated my qualifications because I was the only Campbell River SAR member with qualifications. So that's how you bring the qualifications in. I should note there is a limitation on this. The Rope Rescue, it's only looking at the provincially created Rope Rescue Tech 1 and Tech 2 qualifications. Similarly, Swiftwater, it's looking at the provincially recreated Swiftwater qualifications, same for Tracker. And First Aid doesn't import at all. Different groups are using the First Aid checkbox in different ways, and I didn't want to make any assumptions in that case. I know for us, it's typically members with a 90+ hour wilderness first aid that will tick that box for, but other groups' usage may vary. So didn't want to make assumptions. You'll just have to tick the first aid box on your own. That's it for adding new members. You can obviously bring one up to edit it, and you can delete members if they are no longer needed in this list. All right, so now we're going to go over fairly quickly the different pre-made templates that you can use to just speed up the entry of team assignments, safety plans, and incident objectives. So starting with preset team assignments. These are generic sort of templates for different team assignments that you can then customize from assignment to assignment, but they do a lot of the typing for you and just make creating those assignments a bit quicker. So you can make your own for taskings that occur frequently in your area. You'll notice in the preset ones that I've created here, there aren't a lot for snow-based rescue because I live on Vancouver Island and we don't believe in that white stuff. But if you've got a lot of those or a lot of Swiftwater taskings that are specific, go ahead and add templates to your heart's content. The idea here is to enter them and make creating assignments easier when you're actually on a task and time is of the essence. So I'm going to bring one up here to edit just so we can see what the form looks like. This is a template for an initial response trail sweep. Let's just have a couple of people run down a trail and look for clues. So you'll see there's a description here, special equipment, and I've ticked the initial response box here. You can tick whichever box is appropriate. And again, if you're familiar with the 204 assignment forms, these are all going to seem pretty familiar. They're exactly what's going to show up on those assignment forms. Couple of quick extra things to note here. You'll see a coordinates tag here, square brackets, big capital letters, coordinates. If you include that in the template, and then when you're making the assignment, you use the import coordinate function, it'll just replace that coordinates tag with the coordinates that are brought in. If you don't have that tag, it's fine. The coordinates you import will just appear at the bottom of the description instead. And the last thing to mention is this favorite here. If you tick the favorite box and save, when you're creating team assignments, you'll see that that particular template is just displayed right at the top with a star in front of it. That's all. It's just to save you a slight amount of mouse use. But you know, every little bit helps, right? So go ahead and create any assignment templates you want. Go ahead and modify these if you want to, as needed. I've tried to be fairly comprehensive in terms of assignments, but I'm sure you'll have extra ones to create. All right, so next let's look at the preset safety plans. Go to here to edit preset safety plans. Much like the preset team assignments, these are generic templates that you can use as a starting point for writing the safety plans for a particular task. Go ahead and adjust and modify them, either the templates or on a task-by-task basis. If you're looking at a safety plan form, the ICS form, you're going to see it's pretty much exactly the same. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on what all of these are and mean, but whatever you enter here will just be filled in when you call up that particular safety plan template during a task. So add more for whatever hazards are in your particular area. It just makes creating safety plans super quick and easy. So lastly, just look at the preset incident objectives. As you'd expect, these are one-liners. These are quick, achievable incident objectives that you can add a bunch here and then just pick them from a list when you're adding them to an individual task. So again, I've given you a few to start, but add any that commonly occur in your area that your managers frequently set for tasks. It's especially nice to have for that first operational period where you're in a bit of a rush and you want to be able to just click, click, click and fill out that incident objectives form. Yeah, just enter some nice generic ones here. Makes it really quick. Okay, great. So we have covered all the things that persist from task to task in the application and just make entering data that little bit faster. Specifically, we've covered where all these presets are saved, We've covered the general options. We've talked about adding ambulances, hospitals, communication plan items into your application. We've talked about bringing in all of your team members from D4H to save in this application, and the preset team assignments, safety plans, and incident objectives that just make filling out your paperwork that little bit faster from task to task. All right, great. So there are a number of other tutorials on how to use the application, various other functions. I will link to them right here and down there in the doobly-doo as well. I'll also include a link on where you can download the application if you haven't already. On that website, you can reach out and contact me if you have any other questions. If I get a lot of requests, I'll make more videos. I hope it helps. Good luck.